From West London, from the Twickenham Stoop, as we get ready for this double header of Inter-Services Rugby Union. It's all about the Blues today, light blue and dark blue, as the RAF take on the Royal Navy. Later on this evening we'll have the men's game. Of course, the Royal Air Force men are the defending champions. What have the senior service got to say about that? We shall find out later. But first up this afternoon, it's the Royal Air Force women taking on the Royal Navy women as well. So I'm delighted to say that RAF Wing Commander Nick Robson is joining us. Of course, it's a home fixture for the RAF this year, and it's great to see that the Twickenham Stoop, home of Harlequins, have again opened their doors to Forces Rugby.
A fantastic opportunity to showcase some of the very best in military rugby, particularly this year, the 100th anniversary of RAF Rugby Union. 1918 was the RAF's 100th birthday. This year, 100 years of RAF Rugby.
Well, there we are. It's the party that keeps on going. So delighted for everybody that's involved, and it says an awful lot about how Premiership rugby clubs view our military men and women.
Particularly when we look at the women's rugby, where nearly all of our women play for Premiership rugby teams. Clearly we have our rock stars, Josh McNally playing for Bath next season, leaving London Irish this season, Amy Cocaine, clearly an England hooker, but for all of our women to be exposed to this environment with this crowd today on our 100th birthday, can't beat it.
I'm delighted that you picked up there on the women's game, because just over the road, of course, is the home of the RFU, and this year, of course, they've made it 15s are full-time paid players as well, so that's great that our women at the top level are getting contracts. One of those is going to be involved today in Amy Cocaine. She brings an awful lot to that RAF side.
It does, and Amy Cocaine came through the RAF Reserves, and now she's commissioned, having just graduated from Initial Officer Training, and she's one of our elite athletes, or high-performing athlete, as is Lucy Nye, who's at IOT now, and these are opportunities to hand-pick real quality athletes, be it rugby pitch, football pitch, bobsleigh, fencing, whatever it is. A job in the Royal Air Force, the Army and the Navy really does use your talent in sport to develop the individuals.
Of course, it's that competitive edge that we all like to see, and we're going to see plenty of that on the pitch this afternoon and this evening. I know you're wearing the colours of the RAF, but what are you expecting from both games today?
I think today for the women, it could be our year to beat both the Navy and the Army. A bit unusual for that to happen. But for the men, difficult to call. Look at the demographics. The Navy, roughly the same size as the RAF. So to find the talent in that small pool, develop the squad, real challenge. So I don't think anybody here can call it tonight.
Of course, that women's league, the Tyrrell's Premiership, has done so much, not just, of course, for Amy Cocaine, but there are plenty of Army players as well, and they'll have something to say when they get their chance to play at another Premiership ground, Kingsholm, home of Gloucester, in a fortnight's time.
And we're so lucky to get to play our other game at Gloucester, and to be hosted by them again, for the West Country and the Welsh population to come across the river and see us play high-level rugby in front of a big crowd on a Saturday afternoon. It really is a fantastic opportunity for us.
And there's plenty of eye-catching rugby as well. You know, that women's Premiership, the Tyrrell's Premiership, plenty of good rugby. I mean, I almost liken it to when, just on the cusp of when the game turned professional for the men. They try and put some width on the ball. Will we be seeing that today? Lots of tries?
Hopefully lots of tries from the light blues. Hopefully not too many from the dark blues. But if you look at how our women are playing playing with Saracens, playing for Lichfield Ladies, for London Wasps and for Hartbury, you sit and go, yeah, you're going to see some running rugby, some wide balls, some tries. Hopefully not too much kicking with this wind, but some running rugby. We've got some fast girls out there, fast girls.
Well, that's what everybody wants to see. I mean, it's not quite going to be a record gate today, but, you know, not in not too distant future, can you see tens of thousands of people coming out and supporting women's rugby?
I think not just supporting women's rugby, but supporting military rugby and military sport. Will it be a record gate today? I think for us, it will be a record gate today. So we're looking for 5,000-6,000 people today to cheer us on this evening, and the women this afternoon. So, yep, I think small steps. It took 20 years for us to fill across the road for the Army-Navy game, and we see ourselves as a recognisable brand, and the quality of rugby is now competitive across all three services.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It is a really open tournament. All three sides have got a chance of winning it, especially in the men's tournament. In the women's tournament, neither the Navy nor the RAF have yet to win this championship. You've got an inkling that it might be the RAF's year this year?
We do hope so, and of course the Army have never, ever lost.
That's some record. I think the tournament's been going, 20 years for the women? Yeah, over 20 years. Well, look, somebody that might know a little bit more about it than us is John Knighton. He's your commentator this afternoon. Let's join him and his guests.
What promises to be an exciting double-header of Rugby Union, as you said, Jules, because we've got the Royal Navy visitors here against the RAF, who are the home side for this game today. And just sort of thinking about this fixture, isn't it terrific that a match is got this sort of a home today for a game like this? And wherever you're watching us this afternoon, and hopefully you'll be tuning in throughout the evening here on our Forces digital networks, and we'd very much like to know where you are and where you're watching today, particularly if you're watching on Facebook. Please let us know, and we'll try and give you a mention if we can, because I know we've got maybe listeners as far afield as Australia and New Zealand, and maybe over in the United States, and wherever today you are, then we would love to hear from you. Now, it's my great pleasure as well to welcome to the commentary this afternoon. We've got 3 members of the Army ladies team as well, who can give me the benefit of their knowledge and their expertise, and certainly the knowledge of the teams. I've got with me here Jade Mullin, Jules Park Robinson and Charlie Maxwell as well from the Army. Ladies, thanks so much for joining us today. Probably on a bit of a spying mission. If I can talk to you maybe first, to Jade, you've got a bit of knowledge of all the players in both sides today because of your connections probably with the UK Armed Forces, obviously, and the home team, your home team, Harlequins.
Yeah, I know a few of the girls from UCAF. I've played with them recently in the November fixture against South Africa. So I know there's a lot of experience on the pitch. That will be a good contest today on the field.
And Jules, as far as you're concerned, are you on a bit of a spying mission? You can tell us.
Can't possibly comment. No, I think from my perspective, so I've just taken on a new role of chair of women's community rugby for the Army, and so I'm really interested to see how both the Navy and the Air Force have used their development sides to bring people through to the senior level, and exactly what we're trying to do on the Army setup as well.
Jules mentioned in his sort of interview there that obviously the Army are unbeaten in 10 years that you've had this competition, maybe longer than that.
Much longer than
Much
that.
Longer,
so,
20 years,
20.
Isn't it? And records are there to be broken, are they not? So, you know, I'm sure you're absolutely desperate for the Army to obviously maintain that record, but the RAF particularly over the last couple of years have looked so much stronger.
Absolutely, and they've definitely given us a run for our money on a number of occasions, and that's a really good environment to be able to play in. It's a real challenge for everybody, and it makes the Army players, you know, work harder and train harder in order to put that performance on the day.
Charlie, maybe I can bring you in as well for your thoughts on this game. What sort of a game are you expecting today between the RAF and the Royal Navy? Last year, of course, the RAF ran amok and they scored 53 points. It could be a bit like that again today, couldn't it? Because the RAF are so good.
So looking at the team sheet, both teams actually have now worked really hard on development. Both teams now have a development team. The RAF have had theirs for about 6 years now, and I think that's why they made their leap forward and are really the team to contend with. The Navy it's the second year they've had their development team, and again they've now got some Tyrrells players and some development players that are here representing today. So I would like to hope it's a closer game than last year, and there's a bit of a game for the spectators, and good luck to both teams. Because
we all want to see close rugby. The men's competition has got so much closer. We really want to see the Navy making a real impact at your level, don't we?
Yeah, we really do. One of the things I'm passionate about, I was previously the UCAF coordinator of rugby for the women, and one of the things I'm really conscious of is the 3 services really need a competition between the 3 teams so that spectators actually do come to the game and it's a really close sport, but really high level of women's rugby. So the development teams are key in that to develop the inter-services games.
Well, the 2 teams are now coming out onto the fields. A warm welcome from the crowd who are here. Hopefully we're going to get a few more. It's always a bit of a problem getting people in on a Friday afternoon, but hopefully as word spreads around we'll be hearing about the people who are coming in. In fact, I've just mentioned a couple of people who are listening. We've got Derek Tomo Tomlinson listening in Mazar El Sharif in northern Afghanistan. Good afternoon to you, Derek. We've also got Nick Allen watching on Facebook. Mark Meller come on the RAF, an ex-RAF lad currently on campsite in Snowdonia. The ladies' rugger will stoop to conquer at Twickenham, says Michael Webb. Cheers from the sidelines, down under, and wherever you are today, you'll be more than welcome. We'll have the national anthem and then we'll run through the 2 teams for you before the game kicks off. It's due to start in around about 6 minutes' time at 1:15. But we've obviously got the 2 teams lined up here, and Jade, from your point of view, you obviously experienced this sort of thing. What's going through the girls' minds at the moment?
They'll just have a set game plan at the moment, and they'll just want to do their first thing right, their first goal, and just be able to get the ball, get their hands on the ball, and just keep their composure and just run the ball through their hands, make the first hit, make the first tackle, just get the first thing right first before they think about the next phase.
And those first points are very important. I remember last year the RAF scored very, very early on, and that really set the tone for the whole afternoon, didn't it? And they'll be really keen to get off the ground running. I was watching the RAF in training earlier this week, and they all look so together, so close, as indeed did the Navy as well. So I think it's all getting a bit quiet now. We'll be very, very ready for the national anthems. At the moment, there's just the introductions being made by the RAF as they make their introductions to the VIPs who are here this afternoon to enjoy that. We're obviously looking forward as well to the men's game a bit later. Peter Elliott is watching in Norwich this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Peter. And Matt Stanyard is saying, where's all the Navy support? Well, I'm sure there is going to be some Navy support as well. So you keep those messages coming in. We'll try and mention as many of you as possible throughout the afternoon watching on Facebook. You can also join us as well on Forces on the YouTube channel, on the Forces Sports Show channel there on YouTube, and we're also live, of course, online as well. And as we say, we'd like to make this a really global event here today, the first time that we've been able to show these games live to you amongst the British Forces, and particularly if you're serving overseas today and you're maybe in the Falkland Islands, or you're in Afghanistan, maybe you're in Gibraltar, or you're in Cyprus, or maybe over in Germany, then please feel free. This is part of the of what we're trying to bring the Forces family together here for what is a tremendous Forces occasion. Nicholas Allen would nice to see that they take a leaf out of the Red Roses playbook and move the fixtures around the country. Well, who knows? This has become only the second year we've had the game here at the Stoop, and it's great that we are using a stadium like this for these matches. With all due respect, the RAF, obviously they played their games down at RAF Holton for the last few years, and with all due respect to RAF Holton, this is so much a better venue. It's all geared up for the crowd to enjoy, and as we get the afternoon progresses, hopefully we will be seeing the crowd improving and developing here this afternoon. Just as far as you're concerned, Jade, you're obviously sat next to me here in the commentary box, and Harlequin's doing so well. You're second, I think, in your Premier League at the moment. So yep. Some big games coming up over the next few weeks for you. Yeah, some really big games. They've got Loughborough semi-finals, but luckily for us, it's at home at the Stoop. So we've got the upper hand straight away, and I'm sure the girls will put on a great performance, come out there and win, get us on into the finals. Now, I have to ask you this: could there possibly be a bit of a conflict of club versus country in a way? If the finals, if you make the Premiership final, it's due to be the same day as the Army RAF game, isn't it? Yes. Tell us how you'll deal with that one. So it'll be a great honour to be in the final with the girls. However, this is my duty. I'm Army's first, so I'll have to play there. Well, the national anthem's beautifully observed here at the Stoop. Let's run through the teams, shall we, then, as the girls prepare to kick off. And we'll start with the home side, the Royal Air Force. Here we are, the team there. And obviously they've got a formidable-looking front row, ladies, haven't they, here, with Sarah Wally, Amy Cockayne, Natalie Knott. Amy Cockayne, 41 England appearances, and that's not a bad person to have in your starting lineup on the front row.
Yeah, absolutely not. And as you're aware, Amy plays her club rugby for Wasps and is having an absolutely amazing season this season. She's completed her pilot officer training with the RAF and is now back playing rugby with a vengeance. And I think it's given her a new lease of life on the pitch.
With Natalie Knott as well, and Sarah Wally there on the front row. We've got Ros Mills, Elise Fletcher, Charlie Murray, very important player, of course, isn't she, for the RAF, and of course the captain Chrissy Shizawa.
Yeah, them two are both very important players. They've got a wealth of experience. Charlie, obviously, playing for Wales and Wales Sevens, so she's got the fitness, the pace, and she'll be lethal out there on the wing today. And
I was going to say, let's move on very quickly onto the Navy team, because we're just about to kick off here. The Royal Navy side, they're heavy on experience in some areas. They're a bit short on experience in other areas as well. Very important for them today is going to be Charlotte Fredrickson, and also again the captain Rose Dixon and Sam Alderson too. Very important for the Navy side. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I'm actually extremely proud that Rose is captaining today. She played her first inter-services last year after just passing out of Phase 1 training with the Navy, and it was against the Army last year. She's another Wasp player, hence the very proud, but it's great to see her captaining today.
So we are underway then in this first inter-services game of the season. The Royal Air Force in the light blue, the Navy bringing it out, but it's well collected quickly by the RAF there, and both teams anxious to stamp their authority in these first few minutes of the game.
The Navy started with some good tempo there, and luckily there was forced error, so they've got a knock on. So hopefully now the RAF will try and seek their dominance with this next scrum.
Yeah, these important early moments.
Yeah, absolutely. First scrum, first part of any front row in the game, and indeed each of the packs. So it'll be interesting to see who gets first blood at this scrum.
I was watching the RAF ladies doing their scrummaging on Tuesday up at Henlow, and it was a formidable sight, I can tell you. But both of these packs have got a lot of experience, got a lot of strength there, and the referee just bringing it back. Our officials are all from the Army this afternoon. Really helped.
I think the key thing at this early stage is to get each one of the set pieces out of the way. It just blows away the cobwebs and allows the girls to just settle the nerves.
So we've still got a bit of a stoppage in play here, and it'll come back for another scrum. Navy put in. Olivia Critchley putting the ball in.
There's a great dominance here in the scrum from RAF.
Yeah, they've made a really good start here. Spreading the ball wide, but it's the Navy who do pick it up. Good work though by the Navy. They picked that one up well and retain possession 0-0. We've just been playing just a couple of minutes of this match. Good confident play, but it's still inside the Navy half of the field.
Looks like it's a turnover for the RAF there.
Yeah, they have turned it over. Bring it out well. Here's Reed.
If the RAF get quick hands here now, they can definitely get an overlap.
They do have a chance
exploit
here.
The Navy.
And here we go. That's a great run. And the ball goes wide, and it's to Alex Barnes. Elise Fletcher there. Sorry.
Again, the RAF got a width compared to the Navy. However, it's a great break from 6.
They've got their first one, and that's a great start for them. It's Charlie Murray who's gone over for the RAF. And it really was terrific play. We can see on the replay here as they pick the ball up. And it's Charlie Murray who's on the end of it. Great driving work from the RAF. Look at that play there from Murray going over the line to score. And that's a great early start for the RAF. They're leading by 5 points to 0. Just the start the RAF would have wanted here.
Yeah, it was a great start from RAF then. They managed to get the first points on the board. So that'll set their composure, ready for this next restart now.
I think the RAF is setting their dominance from the beginning there with the forwards clearing out well from the rucks, giving clean ball for the backs to use their quick hands and
Sophie
get
Gale.
in.
Sophie Gale adding the extras, 7-0. It is to the RAF here. Now remember, this time last year the RAF scored 53 points against the Navy, and this sort of start will give them such a basis really to work on. But the Navy doing their very best here to get themselves back into the game, but it's the RAF once again in possession. Lovely play. Amy Cockayne drives it forward, and that's a brilliant ball there through to the number 8 to Sian Williams. One international to another. Already showing their class here in this game.
Yeah, Sian comes with a wealth of experience as well. Another Welsh international player, Sevens player. She's a great leader on the pitch. She has a wealth of experience, and all the girls look up to her. I know that for a fact from playing UCAF with her.
I mean, they have, as you say, they've got a wealth of experience on the pitch, and several captains, I suppose. They could all take on the captain's mantle quite easily, couldn't they?
Yeah, they've got an excellent leadership group on the pitch. Everyone of the girls can talk to each other on the field, off the field. They all have so much knowledge, which is great, which is what's helped them these last few seasons get the scoreline closer and closer, tighter with the Army.
So we have another scrum down. I should mention the officials this afternoon. We've got Dewald Swart is the referee today from the Army, with Matt Duncan and Anne O'Flynn are the assistant referees for this game today. But here come the RAF again. And that's another lovely ball. A chance now for Charlie Murray, who's already got one try this afternoon already. Lovely kick forward. Be challenged by the Navy. Oh, beautifully picked up. That is a lovely try from Danielle Scarr. And this really is a superb start for the RAF. Another try for them. Beg your pardon, it was actually Kate Edwards who went over there. Number 13. A second try for the RAF. I mean, we've only been playing for 8 minutes. At 12-0, they already lead here. And if you're supporting the Navy today, this could be a very difficult and a very long afternoon.
Some great play there from the RAF. And what's interesting is actually that despite the flair, there's still some unforced errors. So, if they tighten up some of that, they could be absolutely formidable.
And the kicking duties will go to Alex Barnes this time, wearing number 24. 12-0 to the RAF. Just 8.5 minutes played here at the Twickenham Stoop. We've got a bit of a swirling wind, as I've been finding out already to my cost here this afternoon, with already my notes blowing away. Have had to be recovered by someone, so thank you for that.
I think, as Jules says, you can see the skill level of this game, and what's quite interesting is that in the civilian game, it's the second season of the Tyrrell's Premiership, and you've got a number of Tyrrell's players on the pitch. There's representation from Saracens, Quinns, Wasps and Gloucester Hartbury. And what's going to be interesting in this game is, you know, that kick through, chase and catch and over the line. The skill that's coming into the women's game now is fantastic, and I really am a believer in that. That's coming from the Tyrrell's game, and that's coming back into services sport, which is fantastic to see.
And it works both ways, doesn't it? Because the success that you can see here, you know, translates itself to the Premiership, and vice versa, because so many of the girls, as you say, are playing top quality rugby every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you watch the Tyrrell's games, it's interesting. The services players on the pitch in a civilian game tend to also be leaders on the rugby pitch, which is great to see, and see the skill level of our services players increase due to that representation.
And here come the Navy. This is the first time they've had a chance. A big pickup, good pickup there from Rachel Carragher for the Navy. The ball runs into touch, but this is probably the best play that we've seen from the Navy so far. They've had a chance just to expand their game. A line out in front of us, in front of the main stand.
That's great though, because we can actually just see what the Navy are capable of, so let's just hope we can see a bit more of it.
Yeah, we do want to see this a really fair game this afternoon. 10 minutes played as Cockayne throws in, and it's won by the Navy though. I think they've grabbed that one and stolen it into the maul, and the ball has gone to ground now, and I think that's going to be a scrum to the Navy. Navy win the ball.
I think that reiterates what Jules said earlier in terms of RAF line out and a basic error that actually was uncontested, and unfortunately that error just led to, you know, the Navy winning some prize possession. Let's see what they can do with it.
And with your army hats on, you'll be very pleased about that, of course.
Maybe. As we were saying earlier, though, a well-contested inter-services is what all three services need, and it's what we're all working together behind the scenes. So on the pitch, there's an amazing rivalry between the three services, as you can appreciate. But actually off the pitch, we're all working hard in the women's game to make sure that the standard increases across the services rugby, because we need that for the spectators.
And of course that comes together when you all play together as a UCAF side as well. So the individual success can, you know, bring itself forward into the UCAF game as well. Let's see how the Navy can develop here. So they win that ball. Critchley gets the ball out to 19. That's Sarah Jenkins wearing 19 this afternoon, just trying to confuse the commentator here with their change in numbers. But luckily I was briefed in advance about some of those changes in numbers. But Navy still in possession. It's the ball drop though, and the Navy, the RAF will win that back. Put in for the scrum to the RAF. Ground beginning to fill up. 7 o'clock kickoff, of course, for the men's game tonight. It was a beautiful spring day last time we were here, this time last year, but it's been a bit wintry this week. I think it's getting a bit milder, but hopefully we'll get the fans out a bit later on to come and enjoy a great evening of rugby when the men do battle a little bit later on. But we're in the middle of an exciting women's game. The RAF leading by 12 points to 0 at the moment. 2 early tries for them from Murray and Edwards for the RAF, giving them a great start to this game. But the Navy have come into it in these last few minutes, which is great to see. But it's Sian Williams bringing the ball away again, and the RAF taking the ball inside. That's Hannah Cole, works it well. Emily Park there, and Charlotte and Sian Williams again. Nice touch, Williams. Lovely ball. Takes it wide. And here come the RAF once again. It's Danielle Scarr really making a good move down on that left-hand side. And they switch the play really well inside the 22.
That was a great offload. And she's going.
And she's not going to be stopped. Another try for the RAF. That was terrific play.
That was they just had really good go forward there. They just literally, they kept the ball alive, which was the most important thing. They just had good tempo, quick hands, and they managed to offload at the end, which put the player through and managed to score. And it's probably a great start for her first RAF inter-services game, so she'll be newly capped, and to get a try she'll be really chuffed so far.
Yeah, Sophie Hill, the fullback, going over, and as you say, Sophie from RAF Benson, and she's what a great, as you say, a great start for her to have got that try in her first game for the Royal Air Force. 18-0 they're in front, and almost running ahead of the clock in terms of points scored. Sorry, 17-0, I do beg your pardon. Maths never my strong point when I was at school. But here's a chance now for Sophie Gale to increase that lead even more. And she does. 19-0 the score goes up to here at the Twickenham Stoop in favour of the RAF. That'll be a bitter blow for the Navy, because they were getting back into this game, weren't they? They were, just showing what they could do a little bit more. But that it just goes to show a quick break from the RAF, and they were back in front again. Yeah,
absolutely, and it is a shame. The Navy are working hard, but I think the RAF runners are creating the space on the outside by making the gain line and going over it in the tackles. So I think the Navy defence really need to work on trying to bring the RAF players down at the gain line rather than letting them run through, which is sucking the rest of the defence in and creating those gaps on the outside. And the RAF hands at the moment are working well, and they're keeping the ball alive, as Jade said. So yeah, the Navy need to look at their defence, I think.
They do. Jade Mullin, Jules Park Robinson and Charlie Maxwell joining me here for the commentary this afternoon. Great to have you with us, ladies. Your knowledge of these girls is so much greater than mine, so you've obviously got a good insight into how they're playing. But here comes Sean Williams again.
Great offload to Christy there, who plays for Saracens.
That's the RAF captain, of course, Chrissy Sigauer.
So if the RAF get the ball out now, they've got a great gap in front of them.
And here we are for a fourth try. Surely they're going over, and there it is.
That's a newly capped player again, who will be really chuffed getting on the scoreboard today.
I think what's fantastic there is that the RAF used the entire pitch and just showed that their fitness is at a really, really strong level.
They really are. Just watching this again, it was a terrific run, and it's their number 24 going over, Alex Barnes going over for the try. And this is an onslaught. It really is turning into an onslaught already. Just 17 minutes played here at the Stoop. Alex Barnes goes over for the try to make it 24-0 in favour of the RAF. And it's Alex Barnes again who's going to have another attempt at goal here to increase it even more.
She was unfortunate in there, just a little bit short.
Live inter-services rugby coming to you from the Twickenham Stoop here this afternoon on our BFBS digital services, and I think we've had a couple of people watching from New Zealand, so good morning to you out there in New Zealand, and I say wherever you are, you're more than welcome joining us here for our live coverage of this match. And it's going extremely well for the Royal Air Force so far, they've got 4 tries, 24-0 they lead, and we're approaching the halfway stage in this first half. 19 minutes played so far. As once again the RAF collect the ball and driving forward towards the halfway line.
It was a great tackle from Navy. It's the dominant sort of tackle that you want.
It's a very inexperienced part of the Navy setup. Is very inexperienced, isn't it? And they're obviously relying on people like Sam Alderson, you know, but some of them are only into their 2nd or 3rd caps, and it's a bit of a baptism of fire for them so far.
Yeah, they're still it's a steep learning curve. They're just getting into it. I know that the Navy are trying to set their platform at the minute, developing their players so that they can make this a tighter contest.
Penalty to the Air Force quickly taken, but the referee is going to bring it back. And we will have a break in play here for some treatment to the Royal Navy's Olivia Critchley, the scrum half. It's her 13th cap today, plays for Bristol Bears, and obviously took a bit of a knock there. She's getting some treatment. Gives us a chance to catch our breath so far, and you can't help having been impressed so far with the way the RAF have got about their business.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I know they've put a lot of effort into this season, focusing on their S&C, their rugby knowledge, and then bringing it onto the pitch and working as a unit so they work well together. They know each other, they know how each other play, which will go on to be a great contest for when we face them come the 27th of April.
Now, you've got a bit of a match of your own tomorrow, I believe, haven't you, at Richmond, or against Richmond tomorrow. So how the Army girls sort of gearing up for that?
Yeah, you know, we've had a really great training camp this week, working well together, setting some new platforms. So we're looking forward to this friendly fixture tomorrow to go on into the next game, into services against the RAF, to tidy up any of the stuff we've been working on.
These build-up games are clear, of course, so important, aren't they? You know, for your season, and I suppose because you are joining the second match on, would you have preferred maybe to play the first game, or you know, are you happy with the way the draws come out?
I think we'd absolutely be happy with that. And actually, you know, the girls have got 2 fixtures tomorrow, obviously the senior side and the development side. And it's, you know, we were with them this morning, and it's just really great to see that new talent coming through and how they're growing and developing. So, you know, for them, it's just more time and more, you know, match time before they hit the inter-services. And actually, coming on to the second fixture, they've had an opportunity, or will have had an opportunity, to see how both the RAF and the Navy are performing and what their strengths and weaknesses are and how we can potentially exploit them in our own fixtures.
We're at the halfway stage in this first half here. 24-0 the score to the RAF. If you've just joined us, the team in light blue, of course, and they're looking for even more now. That's a great run from Chrissy Chizoa, the captain, jinking her way through as they approach the...
I think what's really obvious to me is that the RAF are exploiting all of the gaps in the Navy defence, no matter where they are on the pitch.
They seem to have an incredible fitness level too. That's a lovely touch through and chased hard for it.
I think the fitness going into the season is the main thing. I know obviously a lot of the girls on the RAF side played in the Tyrrell's Premiership, and we focus a lot on S&C, so the girls would have implemented that into the RAF with their knowledge, bringing it into this year's season. And I believe they have been working on their S&C, which will show towards the end of this game that they'll exploit the Navy more and more.
So a decent penalty to clear their lines for the Navy. Head's not dropping, head's not drooping yet, which is good. Just got to keep their spirits up. And
do you know what? After playing the Navy a few times, that's one thing they're really good for. They'll never drop their head. They'll keep fighting very to the last minute.
Well, that's won by the RAF by Sarah Wally there, as the ball spreads out.
It's a great take from the winger there.
It really was. And they're still going. I think the referee will bring that one back though. It'll be a scrum to the Navy. let's say good afternoon to Nicola Elveridge, who's waiting for a little op on her hand, and she says it's killing her watching it on TV today, but hope you're back in action again soon, Nicola. Just keeping an eye on what is being said on Facebook.
Great forward play from the Royal Navy there.
Yeah, the Navy have brought it forward well, and as I say, they're still trying to work their way through to find some way through this tough and tight RAF defence.
So this is where they got an advantage here from that high tackle. So this is where the Royal Navy can try and do something to exploit the RAF and still obviously have that advantage ongoing.
What can the Navy do here? Oh, the ball fell short, and referees pulled it back.
Yeah, we're going back to that advantage, that high tackle the RAF did on the Royal Navy there.
Charlie Murray thought that she had an opportunity then to add another try to her portfolio this afternoon, but the referee has awarded the penalty to the Navy. So are they going to kick for goal, I wonder, and try and get something on the scoreboard here? It'll be Sarah Jenkins.
It looks like they're going for the line-out territory, gain the territory. They'll be hopefully in the 22. They're just short. Here they can set a platform and try and exploit the RAF some way.
Just a quarter of an hour left in this first half, and it's 24-0 to the RAF in this fixture. Emily Park will put the ball in, but I think the referee will bring that back. I think he's awarded the scrum with a put into the RAF. Obviously that didn't go straight into the line out.
It looks like the RAF are going to try and play out the 22 here, which shows their confidence against the Navy, knowing that they can run it from their hands from their own try line where they're trying to protect. That was a great tackle from Olivia Critchley there, number 9.
It was, and she's obviously back, which is good to see after that injury that she suffered. Navy still trying to knock on the door here, still trying to find their way through as on the edge of the 22. Jenkins, and now an opportunity for the Navy with Rachel Carragher. Ball goes to touch.
Yeah.
It's great to see the Navy breaching into the RAF's 22. It'd be fantastic to see them actually test the defence in this first half so they can go in with a bit of confidence at half time. Let's see how this line out goes for the RAF.
Which Amy Cockayne will take.
It's a confident line out that the RAF have just played in their own 22. And interesting, as Jade said, to see them actually running the ball out to see where they can get to with their hands. But again, the Navy have turned over, which is interesting.
There are some signs of hope here for the Navy. This is their best period of possession in this first half. They still try to find a way through this tough RAF defence. Really the first time in this game that the RAF have had to defend this, but the Navy still trying. McIntyre.
So far it's shown that there's 2 occasions now where the Navy's managed to exploit the RAF at the breakdown and getting that turnover. So the RAF really need to work on their support play to not get the ball turnover, but at the minute the RAF, the Navy, doing great with that jackal. It was a great handoff there from Freddie.
As Fredrickson goes to ground, Lieutenant Commander Charlotte Fredrickson, and it's another penalty to the Navy. And are they going to go for goal? I think they are. I think it's a wise decision because I think at this stage in the first half they need to try and get something on the board anyway to show for the efforts they put in over the last few minutes.
It'd be really interesting. So this is the first foray that Navy have had. It'd be really interesting if they actually come away with the points, because actually it shows that their decision making is slightly more clinical, which which is a step up for this team, a really positive step forward. But let's see how this kick goes.
And it will be Sam Alderson, who this time last year I seem to remember scored the only points for the Navy when they suffered that 53-3 defeat. And Sam will be really keen to get this one over if she can. She's the Royal Navy Sportswoman of the Year, of course, for her incredible efforts that she's made with Royal Navy Rugby League and Union, we should say, as well. She's equally as happy with the 13-a-side game as well. And a really inspirational player for the Navy at centre. Her 16th Navy cap as she takes the kick. And it's gone over. So that will make them feel an awful lot better.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think that's fantastic. 1 foray in and they come away with the points. A great kick taken by Sam there and really good decision making by the Navy. Sets them up for an interesting second half.
It's 24-3 here. 11 minutes left here in this first half. The RAF very much in control of this game, but a good period of possession, as we said, for the Navy, and they've made it pay as they come forward again. And here's Fredrickson. Plays it wide to Carragher. Bundled into touch there by the RAF's Charlie Murray. No let up here from them at all. Kitely.
The Navy are slowly exploiting the RAF. There's been a few gaps in their defensive line, and the Navy have done well to get out of their 22 there, and now in the other half.
And Charlotte Fredrickson is really leading this at the moment as the number 8. She's the most experienced player, I think, in the Navy side. 19 caps today, 6 for UCAF. You'll know all about how well she plays. But this is good for the Navy. Kitely goes to ground. And Critchley will retrieve it. Honeybell. It's another penalty which is quickly taken. No, referee won't allow them to take it quickly.
He's going to have a talk with the skips here about I think there's been a few penalties now the RAF have given, so it'll just be to calm their passion on the pitch.
It's interesting that the RAF just seem to have, gone off the boil slightly, don't they? That's, all credit to the Navy really for making that happen.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. They've just slightly lost their concentration. I think they maybe the scoreline slightly complacent, but it's interesting to see the Navy come back as well, and the strength that they're having against the RAF, and just forcing those errors and those decisions from the RAF players. Full credit to the Navy for actually the play and the decisions that they're making with those penalties.
I can imagine there'll be a few harsh words going on in the RAF dressing room at half-time about this, because reminders of the Kolkata Cup match just a few weeks ago across the road, when of course England had a 31-0 lead at half-time, and Scotland very nearly, and probably you could say deservedly, should have won that game in the end.
I think one of the characteristics of the Navy team, and it has been for the last 20 years, is the fact that they never ever give up. They're so determined and they fight right to the end. So I think that they will continue to do that, and the RAF need to be aware of it.
Well, this is an important line out for the Navy. Emily Park is going to take it. If they can get something from this and really get themselves with more points on the scores, and they've won the line out.
They were just unfortunate there.
The wind is actually quite a strong one, isn't it? It's blowing, so the wind blowing from from right to left here. Must make it quite difficult at the line-outs at the moment to judge what's going on, especially if you're going for the long one.
Yeah, I think it was a brave decision by the Navy to go for the long one, but actually it was executed well. Just a slight error taking it back into her own player there, which I thought was a bit unlucky. But the Navy confidence in their skills at the moment, which is good to see.
It's the RAF put in, and they come up, but good challenge from the Navy. Really good attacking play there by the Navy, forcing the RAF backwards. And that was a really good clearance there for the RAF. Just 7 minutes left here in this first half, with the RAF leading by 24 points to 3 here. If you've just joined us live this afternoon for coverage of both the men's and this women's game in these opening inter-services fixtures of 2019 here from the Twickenham Stoop. But it's the Navy who've really dominated possession in the last few minutes. As fullback Rose Dixon, the captain, goes through there, and they picked it up again, and they've got a real chance here. Honeybell loses it.
Charlie Murray with a great tackle there.
Yeah, showing her experience. And it's a lovely run through there for the Navy, and that's Emma Maxwell.
The Navy really on the front foot, and I think it came from that well-executed line out from the forwards and the quick hands out to the backs to exploit. And I don't think the RAF were expecting it. Navy really exploiting their possession here, and the confidence is fantastic within the Navy squad right now.
They need some more points. They need to turn this into points. This is really important now for them. They can actually add to this 3 points they've got already.
I couldn't agree more, especially at this point in the game. Coming away from the Navy, the RAF's 22, excuse me, with some points from here would be exactly what the Navy need right now.
Let's say hello to James Damerford, who's watching in Arlington in the United States. Good luck, he says, to the RAF Rugby Union women, and also to John Wilding as well. So that's a really nice message there from James over there in the USA. And it just goes to show us, wherever you're watching today, all around the world watching our broadcast here, live from the Twickenham Stoop. And keep those messages coming in. Some more treatments at the moment. I think this could well be Olivia Critchley, who's down again. It's not Olivia. Difficult for me to tell from here.
We said at the start of the broadcast that the Navy have had their development team now for a couple of years, and I think it's really, you can see the difference in the Navy squad that the development rugby has brought to their game. It's really impressive, the standard that the Navy are playing at today. Taking nothing away from the RAF had a fantastic start to the game, and clearly by the scoreline. But for the Navy to come back so strongly in this part of the first half, I think it is the effect of that development squad on their rugby.
And all credit to it was actually Lucy Honeybell there who was receiving the treatment, and good to see that she's gone back into the front line again for this scrum down. Well inside the 22 here, the RAF having to defend as they've had to do.
This is a great platform for the Navy now, a great attacking position.
Let's see what they can do with it.
Yeah, and to secure scrum possession under that pressure from the RAF, I think the eight's done extremely well there.
Reid.
Turnover there from the RAF, from Sean Williams.
Yeah. Using all her experience to nullify that, but a bit of loose passing there from the Air Force, and the Navy still have a chance here, although the RAF have the ball.
Yeah, Sophie's going to exit here.
That's
a really good kick from her.
Yeah, fantastic work there from Sophie Gale to relieve the pressure, and it's almost been incessant pressure, hasn't it, for the last 7-10 minutes from the Navy, and they'll be disappointed they've not got anything out of that in terms of points. But we have 5 minutes to go here in this first half. The Royal Air Force leading by 24 points to 3. The tries so far: Murray, Edwards, Sophie, Hill, and Barnes as well, with the 4 tries for them so far.
So the Navy get a second attempt at the line-up there, and they just lost that one. However, they've managed to push the RAF into touch and now try and reset this line-up and go again. So RAF got caught for crossing then.
Yeah. Lack of concentration again from the Air Force has allowed the Navy to once again try and put a sequence together here, a phase, to see if they can really get something more out of this before we get the half-time whistle. Just 4 minutes away from half-time here at the Stoop. And it's the Navy again. Looked a bit like a forward pass to me, I think, and it was difficult for Rachel Carragher to pick that one up.
They've gone back for the penalty though. The RAF player didn't release the tackler.
It's an interesting decision from the Navy to take the kick from this far out. So again, it shows confidence in their kicker and a development in the strength of the women's technical skills within the rugby game. Let's see how the kick goes, but it's a very interesting decision at this far out.
Yeah, a brave decision here, but again, for them, if they can get 6 points on the board, that's going to look far better for them as we head towards half-time. And again, reflection of the Navy's possession, because you always have to try and get something out of it, don't you? And it's all very well having a huge amount of possession, but if you haven't got the points to show for it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you referred to England earlier, and the England men's team have perhaps found that on occasion, but we'll see if it works for the Navy team here. I think their line-out has been working well for them. They've been executed well, so it's interesting to go for the 3 points from here.
It just shows their threat. The RAF making giving them all these penalties, and if it's in the right area of the pitch, if she gets this now, that's another 3 points, and it shows the threat the Navy's got with their kicker.
So Sam Alderson with the kick,
and that really
it went wide. So the plan didn't quite work, but it was from where we were.
So what happened there is the number 15 caught the ball, knocked her on, and then the RAF player was in an offside. Where she knocked her on now is now a scrum down for the Navy, so now they're in a threatening position again, ready to attack and hopefully get 7 points or at least 5 points on the board.
And interesting, I'm not sure that was what they intended, but they've actually got a lot more out of that penalty than the 3 points.
Let's really hope the Navy can turn this into something.
But it's a great break, and here comes
Charlie Murray.
Oh, Charlie Murray showing her pace here. And it's a great move from the Navy, from the RAF, as they once again come forward with Danielle Scarr on that left-hand side.
They just gained so much ground there by Charlie being able to keep the ball alive, get the offload to Chrissy, and then Chrissy keeping the ball alive and getting the pass off to Kate. And now they're in a threatening. Now they're in the threatening position, exploiting the Navy, hopefully to come away with points.
It just shows you how quickly this game can turn, because now it's the RAF in the ascendancy once again, looking for a 5th try here. And you have to say, it's on the balance of play in this first half, they probably don't deserve to be quite so far ahead, but they won't be worried about that. That's Sian Williams there going in, but it was a terrific run from Charlie Murray there to create this opportunity as they drive again forward.
It's great defence by the Navy, though, considering the break made by the RAF there. They were all back, realigned, and actually, I would have expected the RAF to score there, so well done the Navy.
And let's see if the Navy can keep the RAF out and stop them from scoring another try here before half-time. It is a penalty, which are they going to go for goal? Looks like they're
going for a scrum,
instead.
I'm not surprised considering their dominance in the scrum so far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more there. The pack has shown dominance in the scrum so far, and to give the backs with their free-flowing hands that they've been playing with today, just this is a great decision by the RAF. And another dominant scrum. That's fantastic play.
Sian Williams picks it up again, doesn't she? And she's just so powerful there in that situation, creating the opportunity. And they've got an overlap here. Although the ball's gone loose, can the Navy pick it up? But no, it's still the RAF.
Yeah, it's
and a penalty
there. The RAF, the Navy playing the ball on the floor.
And what are they going to do here? They're going to go for the touch.
No, again,
scrum.
Scrum. The dominance is showing, and it shows they're confident in the scrum.
We have now completed 40 minutes of this match. So this will be the last phase of play before we have the half-time break here at the Stoop. And it's now gone to the Navy, the ball out of play. That'll be the half-time whistle. So there we are, half-time here at the Twickenham Stoop. It's been on paper, it's been a fantastic first half for the Royal Air Force, as they have 4 tries to their name. They lead 24 points to 3, but doesn't quite tell the whole story, ladies, does it?
No, definitely not. The RAF took dominance in the first quarter. However, the Navy's managed to keep them out, get on the scoreboard, and put a lot of pressure, and really challenge the RAF's defence.
Yeah, I think the Navy have actually been really strong in their defence, and that, you know, you would have expected in the first 20 minutes that the scoreline would have been a lot more than that. So all credit to the Navy, and they've actually exploited every opportunity they've had to try and put points on the board. And just a real shame that they haven't quite managed to finish that off. But it'd be great to see what they can come back with in the second half.
You know, and Charlie, from your perspective, if you were doing the half-time team talk for the Royal Air Force, what would you be saying to them? Because, you know, as we say, dominant on paper, but there are a lot of errors there, a lot of things that they can certainly improve on.
Yeah, I mentioned the word complacency earlier, but I'm actually going to say concentration, because I think with a dominant pack, that mistake just before the half-time whistle really is a critical error. The dominant pack, you don't need to assert your authority before the scrum, and I think it's just that critical decision making in their senior players that at the moment is just letting them down right now. I think if they get that back at the half time and the concentration back in the RAF side, they are the dominant side in the scrums and in the backline moves. But they really need to get the concentration back for the second half to assert that on the pitch.
Well, we will see, obviously, when the second half resumes. But for the moment, ladies, Jade, Jules and Charlie, thank you ever so much for joining us here in the commentary box. We, of course, have the second half coming for you live here on BFBS. We'll also be later on from just after or just before 7 o'clock. We'll have all the action for you from the men's game this evening, which is going to be a fascinating encounter between the RAF, who we should remind you are the defending inter-services champions after their famous victory here last year against the Royal Navy in what was a rip-roaringly exciting game. And we'll be having that later on, of course, and looking forward to that. But just for now, let's leave you with the half-time score here at the Twickenham Stoop. The RAF 24, the Royal Navy 3. Well, welcome back to the Twickenham Stoop for the second half of this inter-services match. This fixture between the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy. Both teams coming out, the RAF already out on the field, joined now by the Royal Navy women's players. It'll be interesting to know what was said at half-time in both camps. Let me just run through, if you're just joining us, what happened in that first half. It's the Royal Air Force who lead this game by 24 points to 3. Charlie Murray, Kate Edwards, Sophie Hill and Alex Barnes. Alex Barnes scoring the tries for the Royal Air Force. And a penalty from Sam Alderson. Scant reward really for the work that the Royal Navy put into that first half. They'll be kicking into the wind here at the Stoop, and it's quite a strong wind that's blowing across the pitch here in the second half, and we're almost ready to go.
Yeah, you can see the RAF have made some changes here. They've got Danica Wilmore, another Wasps player, and Kat Robinson, and a Saracens player.
Yes, a few changes, as you say, being made at half-time. Jade Mullins, Charlie Maxwell and Jules Park Robinson joining me for coverage of this second half, live from the Twickenham Stoop. And we'll update you on those changes for the RAF. I'm just looking around to see if there's any changes for the Navy in the second half. I haven't seen any so far. But I'm sure that there's a intention just to shape things up a little bit from the RAF point of view as we go into the second period. It's the Navy who come off best here, and they're going to win this ball back.
Yeah, the Navy will be confident here. They've got their hands on the ball straight away in the second half, and they're now obviously getting some go forward. And they've got a penalty straight away, so here's Olivia Critchley going for the quick tap, trying to exploit the RAF by not getting back 10.
Well tackled by the Air Force. And that was Amber Guest who made the challenge.
A great line there from the Navy.
But the Navy look as if they're carrying on where they left off in the first half here. Really taking the game to the Air Force, which they need to do, of course. They trail quite a lot, but spreading the play across. That was Olivia Critchley with a crossball, but it is picked up by the RAF. Will they get her into touch? Goes into touch.
It looked at first like it was a bad decision from the Navy because the backs were set really deep, so when she kicked it, the chase wasn't threatening, so the RAF had time. However, they managed to close it down and then push her out into touch, which was really good. So now the Navy have got the ball in a threatening position once again.
They certainly have. The Navy have made a couple of changes. I think they've got their number 22 who is on. I'm just checking my team list for that. That is Lily Adams, a naval auxiliary. Amy Cockayne bringing the ball forward. That's a great run from her. Oh, what a wonderful move. And off she goes. She's a pocket rocket and she will chase this. And can Amy Cockayne make this one into another try? But it's just a bit too far. But what a fantastic bit of play there from the England international.
Good tackle there from Sean Williams.
And again, in a whisker, the players at the other end of the field. And a great charge down, and that's going to be another try. It's a fifth try, and this time it is Amy Cockayne who's gone over for the RAF, their fifth try. Which takes them to 29-3. Well, what an extraordinary game this is turning out to be so far. It was great Navy pressure, a fantastic break from Amy Cockayne. It just takes one little move and it's a try.
That was a fantastic break by the RAF, but I have to say the individual skill there of Amy Cockayne, especially as a front row player, it shows that she's back and playing some of her best rugby post Phase 1 pilot officer training. But for a front row player, that kick through and even the charge down and the hands to take the try, amazing try by Amy Cockayne.
We've seen it so many times with her. I think she's got a memorable try against you girls a couple of years ago down at Aldershot. Literally ran the whole length of the field to score the try.
Don't remind me.
She is a pocket rocket, really.
Yeah, wrong audience to discuss that one, but yeah, she is a really flair player when she's on form, and that was a fantastic try from the front row forward.
Once again, Amy Cockayne not playing for England for nothing, and there's a bit of consternation going on here in the seats next to me here in the commentary box, but all credit where credit's due. Let's see whether the Navy can come back from that blow. It was a real blow for them because they started this second half really well, and here they go once again. Confidence will be down a little bit as they drive forward again.
So the RAF will be really disappointed there on the restart. They just failed to secure the ball. No confidence on taking that high ball there. So now the Navy have got the ball. Obviously they're going backwards now, but they'll want to keep possession. By keeping possession, it means that the RAF don't have the ball and the RAF don't exploit them and score points.
And it is the Navy. A kick forward from Olivia Critchley, but the referee's going to bring it back. And a penalty to the Navy.
Yeah, that's a really intelligent kick by the Navy, actually. And again, it's that kick through. I'm finding a really interesting tactic from them, and it's gaining them ground at the moment. And intelligent decision making. They're playing really well as a team, the Navy. I'm really impressed with that effort. The RAF, it's currently individual flair that's getting them out of trouble, but the Navy team is working very well together.
Billy State there, number 11. She's on the floor, having made a bit of ground there. There's the Navy again driving forward with Hannah Cole. The ball will come out to Jenkins, Sarah Jenkins. Good intelligent work play, Fredrickson. Developing some phases here for the Navy. And I suppose this game in a way is all about trying to build their confidence a little bit. And their possession. I'd be interested to know what the possession stats are, because I'm sure the Navy are doing pretty well on possession at the moment. So not been able to turn that into points. They've only got 3 on the board so far. 29 to the RAF. Remember, they scored 53 points here in this game last year.
It's really good to see some patience by the Navy, though. So they're not rushing into throwing the ball away. They're actually stopping at the breakdown and making sure that, you know, everything's ready before they pass the ball out. And that is really good to see. That's a shame because that was such a great pass, but, you know.
Yeah, Kat Robinson has really come on the pitch here and put some dominant tackles in, which is really hitting the Navy backwards, which is what they don't want, but that's what the RAF do.
We played 47
Once again,
minutes.
great tackle.
It was 47 minutes played here at the Stoop. The Royal Air Force penalised once again, and the Navy bring it away very quickly again. I've been impressed with Olivia Critchley this afternoon. She did take an injury in the first half, but she's really leading as a fantastic scrum half play from her today. Billy State again getting into the game. Another penalty conceded by the RAF, and I wonder if they'll be tempted to go for goal here.
Yeah, it looks like number 13's coming up into the position. I think this is what she's going to go for. Get another 3 points to the board, set the composure and restart again.
Yep, Sam Alderson. She's got 1 out of 2 kicks so far in this game.
And again, another interesting decision by the Navy, particularly as the wind suddenly picked up in the last few minutes.
This won't be an easy kick by any means for her.
Just waiting for the kick to set up. You mentioned Ollie Critchley a few minutes ago, and I think playing for Bristol Bears has really developed her over the last season or so. She's been a fringe player around the UCAF team for the last couple of years as well, in development between the 3 services, but her confidence today and her decision making's really come on, and her skills are really shining through now.
And she's a very important player for the Navy, again, you know, with her experience that she's had playing in inter-services rugby and playing sort of in representative rugby for the Navy. And as you say, great to see her really blossoming in this team.
Yeah, most definitely. When we played South Africa in November, UCAF side, she came on at 9. She made a real impact to the game, picked the tempo up. We had good go forward. So she's definitely developing as a 9.
Let's see if Alderson can get this kick over. I'm sure fans of Navy Rugby all around the world will be hoping that she can. But again, she's pulled it away to the left. And so this time the RAF don't mess up their drop.
It just shows the confidence of the RAF again. Instead of putting the ball down, going for a drop 22, they're just playing out from the try line.
And they've got a wind advantage here, of course, the RAF, and they can make that count, but they don't feel they've needed it. But again, slight problems for them in the inside the 22, and it's going to be a scrum, and the put-in will go to the Navy.
Yeah, it just goes to show they work on something the RAF needs, especially obviously going into the more competitive game on the 27th of April against the Army. They really need to be clinical and finish those passes.
Yeah, I think at the moment they've got the confidence, and it really is trying to run out of the 22. Shows the confidence they've got in their individual skill set, but I wonder if the decision making is the right one currently.
We have a break in play for another injury over there on the far side of this Twickenham Stoop. Crowd building up. It's good to see there's people coming into the stadium all the time, and there must be probably a couple of thousand people already, maybe 1,500, 2,000 people in the stadium already, and that's great to see.
Yeah, the audience today is it's good, and I think the change of the layout for the day has also helped, because the audience can come in now and stay for both games. So I think the match day committee's done well changing the timings around for the fixtures, and it really is starting to help the spectators actually support all of the inter-service games that are on today. And again at Kingsholm, same decision on the 27th. The games have been set up for the spectators to come and actually watch both the women's and the men's in the stadium.
We do have an early start, don't we, at Kingsholm for the ladies' game on the 27th. Should also mention actually the result from earlier. The old boys got together across the road at Nella Hall with the RAF Vultures beating the Mariners, the Navy Mariners, by 17 points to 5 in that game. In case you were holding on for that result and didn't know, but it was a victory for the RAF there in that game as well at Nella Hall. And of course, sadly, we won't be having the Nella Hall fixtures on Army-Navy Day this year at Twickenham either, which is a big blow, obviously, and particularly for the Army women. And I think a lot of people feel very sorry for you for that reason.
Yeah, and we understand why the decision should be made, and absolutely the women support the decision for Army-Navy Day itself. I'm pleased that our game has now been announced and the location has actually been set. Unfortunately, it's a closed game, so friends and family will be able to attend, but the general public unfortunately won't. It's taking place it's inside a military camp, so it's slightly disappointing. But we're looking forward to next year, where the Army have stated that the women will play at Twickenham next year. So we're excited to see that happen for 2020 matches. That's
really important, actually, that you get the credit you deserve, really, for the quality of rugby that you are producing. And this has been a good quality game so far. Let's make no mistake here that despite the fact that the score, if you're just tuning in and seeing that the RAF are 29-3 ahead, the Navy have not been outclassed, by any means. Certainly in the latter stages of the first half, and as we go into the second half here. But it's another chance for the RAF. Amy Cockayne again is there, but it has been brought back. It'll be another penalty to the Navy, and the penalty count really is mounting up, isn't it, in favour or against the RAF here. I can't actually recall the Navy conceding a penalty in this game so far, apart from maybe early on.
I think it's a really good point, actually. When you look at the scoreline, if you were coming in watching this fresh, you would think that it was a really dominant game by the RAF, but it's actually been end-to-end stuff and really good for the spectators to see.
We're only 14 minutes into this second half. The RAF have added another try since the half-time. It was Amy Cockayne who created it with a fantastic run, and she ended the move as well with the try, which unfortunately for the Air Force was not converted. So 29-3, 5 tries to the RAF so far. But it's the Navy once again who have been dominant in possession so far in this second half, as they once again make inroads into the RAF.
It's another confident line out by the Navy forwards, well executed. It's a shame that the ball came so far back, but they're building on that momentum now, and let's see what the backs can do with a bit of possession.
It's a good drive forward from Sam Alderson.
Offside.
The RAF are in an offside position, so that's been noted by the referee. Will he bring it back for the penalty?
Charlie Murray, there she goes again. Great interception.
And that's going to be yet another try for the RAF as Murray goes through for a 6th try.
So Navy just got caught out there. Olivia Critchley was trying to say that the ball was still in, but it wasn't. It was out, so therefore the RAF's defensive line pushed up, closed that down straight away, and Charlie Murray once again just with our interception and just getting on the scoreboard. I said she was a threat at the beginning, and she's showing her full potential, yeah.
She really has, and that is her 2nd try of the game. She scored the 1st try for the RAF right at the beginning of this game, which Sophie Gale converted. And it'll be Sophie Gale again who will be attempting to add another 2 points to the RAF's tally. 6 tries they have now. That's a very confident conversion, taking the score to 36-3.
It's a great try and a great conversion there from the RAF, but the skill of Charlie Murray, the Lichfield player there. But I do feel it was against the run of play at the time, and like we've been saying, the scoreline is not reflecting the standard that the Navy are currently playing at. It's a bit of a shame for the Navy. I just hope they keep their confidence up and they keep trying their rugby, because they're playing very well as a team.
Yes, they are. They are. Unfortunately for them, they're making the mistakes which are being punished, absolutely savagely by the RAF here. I've seen so many games when the Army have punished, mistakes that have been made by both the Navy and the RAF. And once again, here we are, another chance for the Air Force.
She's the Saracens player again, just showing what the experience of the Tyrrell's Premier players coming through the RAF, and just being able to show that on the pitch today.
And here we go again, another try coming up for the RAF, and it's beautifully taken by Kate Robinson. Yeah, it was a terrific effort.
And again, that's a real shame for the Navy, because the RAF just exploited one gap, one mistake, and then scored half the length of the pitch. Real shame.
Just the Navy just need to focus on their individual tackles there. It's just being able to take ownership, saying you've got that person, and being able to take the tackle. But at the minute, there's just a few too many missed tackles.
41-3, this score really mounting up now, the 7th try there for the Air Force. And the conversion goes over.
Giving the RAF the credit, though, they are exploiting every single gap, and they've last 5-10 minutes really picked up their game, considering where they were halfway through the end of the first half.
It's a very thoughtful commentary box here at the moment. I've got very thoughtful Army girls here sat by me, just cogitating on how this game is going so far. If you're looking at it from an Army perspective, what are you making of this?
I think from an Army's perspective, I said it earlier, the Navy are playing very well as a team. The RAF have some very strong individual players, and I think those players are able to capitalise on mistakes the Navy are currently making. So from an Army perspective, we need to concentrate on our basic skills and drills and make sure that we minimalise our errors as much as possible, because they really can. We, the RAF, have got some fantastic players, both individual and credit where credit's due. The team have some fantastic skill amongst them.
Wonderful
and
play.
There's a prime example of fantastic teamwork between the RAF players, and they really do just exploit those mistakes.
Amy Cockayne again under the posts for the RAF, taking them to 48-3, and they really are opening up the Navy now. And is it the superior fitness? Maybe this is something that Nicola Elvidge on Facebook has pointed out, because the RAF have absorbed an awful lot of pressure, but look when they've needed to. That's like 3 tries in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, the RAF are just keeping the ball alive. Yeah, they're getting tackled, but managing to get the offload, which is really hurting the Navy right now.
We are halfway through the second half, so we've still got 20 minutes to go. So goodness knows what sort of score the RAF could ratchet up here, unless the Navy can get some sort of control of the ball again. As Sophie Gale once again scores the conversion, which takes them over the half century. 50 points to 3. The RAF ahead of the Royal Navy. Live here across the Forces world on Forces Network, on YouTube, on our Forces Sports Show YouTube channel, and of course on our Forces News Facebook page as well. Wherever you are around the world, thank you for joining us today for this historic live coverage of Inter-Services Women's Rugby. And just to remind you, once again, we will be here later on tonight in an hour and a half's time or so for coverage of the men's game here, as well as the RAF take on the Navy in this match. On the halfway line, Sian Williams.
I think those recent tries have allowed the RAF to get their heads back up, and they're playing some fantastic rugby here. The hands and the champagne rugby is really flowing now. I think the Navy just need to be careful. They need to close the RAF down again, or this could be a very large cricket score.
Well, it already is. Charlie Murray goes over for her hat-trick of tries, and they now lead 55-3, which betters the score they achieved last year in this fixture.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that confidence come back with those individual RAF players, and players who, up until this point haven't been taking a leading light, now coming through and having the confidence to give it a go and breaking through the tackle.
Well, Brenda Ellis, thanks for your comments. We try to be as neutral as we can possibly be here on BFBS, just trying to really show how well the Navy have played, despite the fact they're obviously on the end of a bit of a hiding here from an extremely good RAF side, and we're not going to hide from that fact at all. But the truth is that the RAF have made quite a lot of mistakes in this game, and if they hadn't made those, then the score would probably be even higher. But all credit, as you say, to the RAF here. They've been absolutely dominant, and Sophie Gale misses that conversion, so the score remains at 55-3 in favour of the RAF here, who can only increase in their confidence, I think, as this second half progresses.
I think the substitutes that the RAF made at half-time in Kat Robinson and Danica Wilmore, both Tyrrell's players, have really come on and made an impact in the second half. And I think that is making a big difference for the RAF squad going forward. And their positive runs are really gaining them the ground and putting the Navy on the back foot in a defensive role.
But one thing we've said throughout this game is that the Navy won't give up. They'll keep trying. Their heads won't drop. Every time they concede, they'll come back for more.
Yeah, and I definitely know that from a personal experience playing the Navy. They always keep fighting very to the last minute, and they just won't give up. And it's something that I love about the Navy and their passion, and to still still go on up until the 80th minute.
And I think it sort of, emphasises the mutual respect that you have across the board for your Forces rugby players, whatever service they're playing for, that, you're trailblazers really for your game, and what you're achieving now is only going to lay the foundations for the future of the women's game, not only at service level, but, at the professional level as well. So all credit to everyone involved with women's rugby in the Forces. And the Navy, as we said, not giving up, they're still going for it, and that was Lucy Honeybell there driving forward.
Services is the highlight of the rugby season for us as female players. And what's been really good to see is the inroads that all of the teams and the improvements that all of the teams have made throughout the last few years, and it's great to see. Fantastic play there by the RAF.
And I'll tell you what's really impressed me about the Air Force in the second half is their hunger. Look at this wonderful drive forward now as they look for a 10th try here, a 10th crossing the line. Spread wide, that's lovely play. Sian Williams, and that's is it going to be in the corner? It's gone out into touch. So good defence by the Navy, keeping the RAF out. But it's the RAF who will have the put into this line out.
I think I mentioned earlier, reference that the individual tackles. However, with the RAF getting that offload, the Royal Navy really need to focus on maybe on the double tackle, one going low, one going for the ball. It'll just stop that offload, and it'll stop the momentum of the RAF going forward, and they'll be able to slow the ball down, which will do the Navy more favours than the RAF, because the RAF really wanted to do some quick player.
Can the Navy or can the RAF drive for the line here? But it's the Navy who won it, and the clearance is only going to relieve the pressure temporarily. Bit of a loose pass there, which will be picked up by the RAF. Amber Guest, who has come on as a replacement, as has number 19 there, Kat Robbins, scorer of the 8th try.
Another change they've made here at half-time is Emma Tadman coming on. She's another UCAF coming with some really good experience. So they have really got some threatening players on the bench, the RAF here, showing that in the second half, where they're coming on and really punishing the Navy.
And of course, with the scorers, there's no pressure on the RAF. They can really express themselves now, can't they? And that's obviously going to be great for their coaching staff. Can really see what all of them can do. And they have the line out.
Yeah, the Navy really need just to keep hold of the ball, set the composure, and just get some good go forward. Then we've seen they've got the ability throughout this game so far. It's just clinical errors. They just need to just be able to finish.
Driving out of their own 22.
That's Charlie Fredrickson there. She's a really experienced player, UCAF player, and she's been on this rugby scene for a few seasons now.
Look at Amy Cocaine getting stuck in there. It's almost as if it's just the first half. But she's really making it her own today, as is Ros Mills there as well, who part of the dominant forward line really for the RAF here this afternoon.
Yeah, Kat Robinson has come on. I'd just like to mention she's come on the second half, and she's put in a few good hits, really putting that pressure on and driving the Navy back.
55-3 the score here. We've been playing for 68 minutes now, just 12 minutes or so left in this game, as the RAF will defend this line out. It'll be a Navy put in. Emily Park, which they win well. Penalty to the Navy. Quickly taken by their scrum half, Olivia Critchley, and she's still on the ball, approaching the 22.
That's a great goal forward.
Nice play by Charlotte Fredrickson.
The Navy need to keep this tempo. If they keep this tempo, then they could be looking at points.
I think from a neutral's point of view, there'll be a few neutrals in the house. So I think it would be great to see the Navy score a try here, which their players probably deserved here. Yeah,
they definitely deserve it. Their hard effort so far, they deserve some points on the board, and it'd be really nice to see that.
And they've won another penalty.
The RAF here, if I was the coach, I'd be a bit disappointed about the penalties they've given away. Going into the Army fixture at the end of the month, that's something that they don't want to do in these areas, because it's a more competitive game.
Is that because they've been forced into those errors then by the Navy, or is it just ill-discipline? Is probably the wrong word, but is it, it's just a lack of that sort of final bit of discipline, when they need it?
Yeah, no, definitely, and as we see here, they've just got a yellow card, Danica Wilmore, unfortunately, so RAF will suffer here with 14 players. However, hopefully Chrissy as captain now will get them together, get the composure, so they don't let the Navy score.
So Danica Wilmore, who of course was a replacement, she's going to spend probably the rest of the game, actually. Just looking at the clock, we've got about 10 minutes to go, so she might just make it back onto the field for the last few seconds of this game. Disappointing for her. Just sort of seeing just down below us as well, whether one of our cameras can pick up, but the RAF men are arriving here. They've arrived at the stadium in anticipation of the game, with their proudly wearing their caps. In fact, I think it's probably the Vultures, isn't it? That's the senior members of the team who arrived with their caps.
I think when we go back to the discipline point, it's a bit. We shouldn't be giving away penalties in our own 22, and especially when we know that the Navy kicker is really strong and can kick 3 points from there pretty easily. So, I know that the RAF probably looking at the scoreline and not thinking that they're going to lose the game, but you still don't want to give away points unnecessarily.
And they are going. They're not going to go for
interesting choice, going for the line out. And the Navy line-out's been pretty consistent throughout the game, so I think that's a really good decision. It'd be great to see if they can get some points from this.
Yeah, don't forget, the RAF have scored 9 tries in this game so far, leading 55-3 here at the Twickenham Stoop. But as they've done for quite long periods in this match, the Navy are having some good possession. They've got a chance now to improve on the 3 they've got so far.
It just this shows the confidence right now. The Navy choosing the line out, not going for the 3 points. RAF got a player down, so hopefully they're looking to capitalise.
And of course the RAF are already down to 14 anyway, so they're a bit depleted in numbers. Can the Navy make anything out of this?
RAF, however, have just shown their dominance in the tackle. They've driven the Navy back. However, great decision there for a cross-field kick.
And it's a great chance for the Navy. Are they going to make it? This desperate defence from the RAF. They're giving away the penalty.
And once again, that penalty comes from a really interesting kick in a prime position, which initially looks like clearly it's a tactic that the Navy are using during this game. It's won them so much possession and territory, and it's worked very well for them. From an Army perspective, it's certainly something that we'll be watching out for come the 3rd of May, but it's worked very well for them today.
Amy Cockayne with her experience there, just ripping the ball in the tackle.
As she does so often at every level that she plays. And once again the pressure's relieved, but the Navy won't give it. They're still inside the 22. Nicely brought away by Annie Forbes.
Again, the Navy defence getting the player down, but the RAF hands just keeping the ball alive is just giving them so much possession, so much go forward. And as we can see from here, it's just putting their backs and their forwards on the front foot and just getting in behind the Navy defence, and it's giving them so much room to play.
Great play from
which creates these try opportunities, which the RAF is so good at optimising.
It's a great tackle there from Rosie at 15, just being able to tackle her and force that knock-on from the RAF, and now they're playing with an advantage at the moment.
And how quickly they turned defence into attack, but the Navy once again trying. Oh, what a cruncher of a tackle that was. And who was it? Amy Cockayne.
Amy Cockayne.
And that's a fantastic example of the tackles that Jade and I are talking about in terms of a go-forward tackle, where you really do just take the attacker backwards, and Amy Cockayne is so good at those. It's good to see from a women's rugby perspective of the power that she really has as a player.
I mean, she is in the RAF police now, so, you know, don't misbehave when Amy Cockayne's around.
No, absolutely not. I probably wouldn't, even if she wasn't a policewoman, but no, absolutely, she's a formidable character, and a fantastic player. It's good to see her back on form, as I said earlier. It's a player close to my heart at the moment. Plays her club rugby for Wasps, as I've mentioned before. But it's really good to see her coming through Phase 1 training, playing some fantastic service level rugby here.
Well, that really did hurt. I think that tackle from Amy. The referee, of course, has stopped play. We've got just 7.5 minutes to go here at the Twickenham Stoop. RAF leading by 55 points to 3. They bettered their score from last year by 2 points so far, but the Navy holding out at the moment. And where we are, of course, at the Twickenham Stoop this afternoon, just a stone's throw from HQ itself. The Army-Navy match, men's match, will be played on May the 5th, which you'll be able to see live right across our channels on BFBS TV, Forces TV, as well as Sky, thanks to our colleagues at Sky Sports. And we'll also be streaming it live on these platforms as well. So wherever you are in the Forces world, you'll be able to see the Army-Navy game, which of course is a 2 o'clock kickoff at HQ this year. Will be followed by the UK Armed Forces Under-23s against the Oxbridge Students, but that'll be a later kickoff. The main match starting at 2 this year. But before that, we've also got the small matter of the Royal Navy against the Royal Air Force men tonight, which is a 7 o'clock kickoff here at the Stoop. And then, of course, on the 27th of this month, we'll be at Kingsholm in Gloucester for the 2 matches involving the Army and RAF. The women's game, a morning kickoff. The RAF men will be taking on the Army with an afternoon kickoff at Kingsholm, and I hope you'll be able to join us for that as well. The very best Forces rugby right here on the Forces Network. So a bit of a break in play, but it will be a scrum down now.
It's really interesting to see Sian Williams here has gone from 8 and stepped up to 9. It just shows her abilities as a rugby player. She is a threat everywhere on the pitch.
Well, when the RAF women played the British Police in January, a game I watched at Holton, Amy Cockayne was playing at scrum half that day, which shows how versatile they are. Sian Williams earning her 15th RAF cap this afternoon. Well, I beg your pardon, I think she's got 15 Welsh caps. I do beg your pardon on that. Well, 25 Welsh caps, I should say. But she is one of the mainstays of this Air Force women's team. Amy Cockayne takes the ball forward again. Such strength she has when she picks the ball up.
Just her knowledge there at the breakdown, showing the guards weren't set or the bodyguards.
That was a good tackle.
Yeah, really good tackle from the Navy. It's more than we'd like to see. Some really good hits coming in.
But once again, it's the Air Force looking like they could add to their tally of 9 tries take their try scorers into double figures here. That's great play again, fantastic play from the Air Force. Ball goes wide.
Good press there from the Navy.
Navy trying to keep them out, trying to keep the light blue army out, the light blue force that's driving for that line. And surely it's only a matter of time now before they go over for that try. And it is Emma Tadman going over for the 10th try for the RAF.
It's a really well worked try by the
was.
RAF there. The number of phases and the control that they're now starting to show on the ball. They've got their concentration back. They're taking their time. They're making the yards, and that was a really fantastic team try by the RAF going over. They actually had, for about the last 5 phases, 3-man overlap on the left-hand wing here, and just bringing the ball back, decision making. It's good to see.
And Sophie Gale will try to add to that to make it 62 points to 3. It was almost had a hint of inevitability about it, that last try, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said,
conversion.
they really for the last 5 phases they just needed to get the ball wide, but they'd earned the rights. The forwards were doing the work. They used the phase play and really just drew the Navy in, drew them in, and then shipped it wide. And a good score there by the RAF.
62-3 the score. Doesn't make for very pleasant reading if you're a Royal Navy supporter. But we can't say it's been a totally dominant performance from the RAF this afternoon, because it really hasn't. In terms of possession, the Navy have done extremely well, but the Air Force absolutely ruthless in their conversion of possession into points.
Here's Captain Chrissy showing a really strong leg drive there and just gaining some ground from the RAF.
As again the RAF bring it forward, the referee's going to pull it back though, and it will be a penalty to the Navy.
Yeah, just crossing there, the RAF.
That was a bit of a lucky escape really for the Navy. The RAF again had a big overlap on that far side. Navy quite narrow across the pitch.
Just 3 minutes to go in this opening inter-services fixture of the Women's Championship. Live from the Twickenham Stoop, if you're just joining us. You've missed a try-fest as far as the RAF are concerned. They've scored 10 tries in this game so far.
You know, the Navy are set really deep, considering, you know, the RAF tackle dominance is really strong. You'd think they'd stand a bit flatter and take the ball on at pace.
But they still have the ball, they have still possession. Kick through forward there by the Navy. Abby Reed. This is their fullback. Captain Rose Dixon still going for it, still leading from the front. She's done really well there.
Really precious territory that Rose has just won for the Navy there. Really strong drive forward from her. Navy again though setting quite narrow on the pitch, and the RAF filling the defensive space on the pitch.
The Navy do look tired, one has to say.
I just hope that we haven't given them the commentator's curse. We've been talking all game about how well the Navy could keep going for 80 minutes. I really hope they keep their passion up and get to show what they can do. But the Navy here, the RAF here showing their dominance in the defence. Navy doing well to keep possession, but the RAF grinding them back in territory terms.
Well, we're into the 78th minute here.
It's a great turnover by the RAF there, and another just shows their strength in depth, that any player can take the ball on and drive forward and gain them more territory, and it really does make the RAF such a threat. Any mistakes from the Navy, they're able to capitalise on, and another try scoring opportunity for them.
Charlie Murray again has already got a hat trick, but she's been held just short. She's still driving through, and I think she's made the try. Charlie Murray, what a brilliant effort there right at the end of this game.
It's a great try by the RAF there. It shows the support runners that went with the ball carrier, they're not complacent, they're following up their players, and that's really what just created their try for them. The RAF teamwork there and driving the player over the line. Navy slightly unlucky, they'd got back, but not enough numbers to keep the RAF out. A well-worked try by the RAF.
Well, Charlie will be absolutely delighted. 4 tries out of 11 for the RAF, and Sophie Gale adds the extras as well. 69-3 the score here, and our scorer doing really well to keep up with the with the scoreboard here.
Yeah, this is just showing them the RAF's fitness here. When Sophie Gale was taking that conversion, they all ran back, they're ready, set, they just want to continue and I think they just really want to get more points on the board.
Well, they may not be able to get any more. We've reached the 80-minute mark now, and I'm not sure the Navy will want to endure too much more agony here. I think what struck me about this game really is that for all their possession, the Navy have done really well with their possession, but there've just been periods when almost like the RAF have just sort of switched into overdrive, switched into a sixth gear, if you like, and the Navy just had no answer to it at all. Yeah,
I think I just come down to the fitness, like I said earlier. It's a massive thing in the women's game at the minute, keeping the fitness and being match fit, and it's really showing that right now.
Yeah, and the ball goes out of play. That'll be the end of the game, and it's been a really terrific match here between two totally committed sides. The RAF totally dominant in their possession, 67. It says 67. I'm sure it was 69-3. That conversion definitely went over. The scoreboard still says 67-3. So we will stick with what we think, 69-3. But maybe your final thoughts, ladies. And I suppose the question I've got for you is: are the Army worried?
I think just a huge well done to the RAF. That was a really incredible performance. Quite clinical in some of the things that they were doing, but again, all credit to the Navy. Like we said from the outset, they're a side that never ever give up, and they were still defending as much as they could right up until the 79th, 80th minute. So a great performance from both teams, and a really good spectacle of women's rugby this afternoon.
And there is a trophy obviously to present. Carry on, please. Give us your thoughts.
As a player's perspective, I know the last season when we played the RAF, we probably didn't give them the respect they deserved. However, going into this next fixture, we definitely are giving them the respect, and we know that it's going to be a battle on the pitch, and both teams are going to put out. But the Army, obviously, we've been working hard as well. We've got some elite players just like the RAF, so it's definitely going to be a good competition. But hopefully, obviously, being one-sided, I really want the Army to come out on top.
I must admit, I really can't wait for this battle between you and the Light Blues down at Kingsholm in 2 or 3 weeks' time. It's going to be a really exciting encounter because what we've seen today, we've seen the very best of the RAF. We've also seen the worst of them at times as well. And we've also seen the best of the Royal Navy too. Let's see if we can go pitch side. Gillian Evans is now talking to the Royal Navy captain.
Joined by Rose Dixon, Royal Navy skipper. A bittersweet afternoon for you. Your first chance to lead the senior service at inter-services level. Not the scoreline you would have wanted today.
No, absolutely not. Of course it wasn't. But we had a lot of new girls on the pitch, and it really has been amazing for them to come out, and for this kind of game, that kind of level to play at, it's absolutely amazing, and I couldn't have asked more from them.
Lots of encouraging signs. You had plenty of possession, just couldn't quite convert it into points today.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that we need to work on, because we are dangerous with ball in hand. It's keeping that and it's finishing it, but there's definitely something to work on, and that's what I'm really proud of.
Yeah, as skipper, you must be really proud of everybody. I see that you've got Gary Street on board. Gary, of course, led England to the World Cup success in 2014. What's it like working with somebody like that?
It's absolutely amazing to have his knowledge and his input on everything, and he gives us a different point of view to everything, which is absolutely, we're honoured to have him here.
Well, I know you've got your captain's duties to do, so you go and do that. Quick, get in the tunnel. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks, Rose. Thank you.
So Julian there talking to Rose Dixon, the Royal Navy captain, as the mutual respect shown for the two players as they wait for the presentation. And this is great to see. Hi, Daniel Gibbons, watching in Delaware in the United States today. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage today. Dave Ireland watched in the Magic Kingdom. Well done, everybody, he says. Brenda Ellis asking if we are streaming the match tonight. Yes is the answer, Brenda. We are definitely streaming the game, which kicks off at 7 o'clock, as you rightly say. So more exciting rugby to enjoy here on the Forces Network. Wayne O'Reilly says, fantastic job, ladies. I think hopefully he's referring to both teams, because both teams have given their all this afternoon. Great pictures here of the Royal Air Force Huggle. And I'm sure the coaching staff will be absolutely delighted that the work they've done has paid dividends in terms of the score they have amassed. 11 tries for them today. Charlie Murray scoring 4 of them. Amy Cockayne getting 2. But everyone has really, played their part in a wonderful performance from the RAF. And hopefully we'll be able to hear from the Royal Air Force very shortly to find out their thoughts on the performance. Instant reactions, of course, are always interesting to hear from the players after they've given their all on the pitch. It's amazing how often the media requests that these days, whether it's professional football managers or players or whatever. But down here, we can really safely say that both teams have given absolutely 100% and really given us a good spectacle of good open rugby today. And it all bodes well. There's so many things I'm sure the Navy can take away from their performance today to show that they are, although in terms of scoring, in terms of points, they haven't really bettered what they did last year. They've produced a much better performance than they did last season. They've got to take that. They've got to take that on, haven't they?
Yeah, most definitely. You always go off your last performance against that opposition, and the fact that they've scored more points just shows that they've experienced and they've gone forward and developed their game, and they're becoming more of a competition. And it's something they going into the Army fixture will show their capabilities.
Yeah, presentation's just about to begin here. Always a happy occasion if you're the winning team. Maybe if you're the losing team, you just want to head back to the dressing room, I guess. But this occasion is a really big one now, and it's just great to see the atmosphere building here at the Twickenham Stoop, as it has done all afternoon, which really shows the RAF really mean business now. In the old days, the RAF did play their fixtures across at Twickenham, midweek fixtures, which no one ever turned up to watch, which was such a disappointment when in those old days back in the 1980s and 90s, when Twickenham did host the RAF fixtures against the Navy and the Army, had those days when the likes of Rory Underwood was playing for the RAF and nobody was watching, which for me was a great travesty. But they've come back, the RAF, and the women are playing really well, and the Army also. I think we can go back down to the touchline. The presentations are being made as we speak. This is, I think, for the veterans game earlier on.
The RAF have really invested in their women recently, and you can see it in the strengths that they've made over the last 5 years. And the game today, they were the dominant side, and their players are well invested in. But you can see it through RAF Rugby, throughout the whole union, the investment they've made in all of their rugby teams and together as one union. It's impressive to see. It's also nice to see the Mariners and the Vultures here to support the women as they get their medals, and to support the women as they get theirs afterwards. It's good to see the one club spirit.
It really is. And just to remind you of that match that was played a bit earlier on today, across the road at Nella Hall, it was a victory for the RAF Vultures. They beat the Royal Navy Mariners by 17 points to 5. So you can see the RAF men there with their supporting their caps. That's the last of the Navy Mariners, the ancient Mariners, I suppose we could call them. Some of them are a bit more ancient than others, but
yeah, I think they'll definitely feel it tomorrow compared to the girls.
Yeah. Well, this time last week or last Saturday we were at Kingsholm watching the hybrid game between the rugby union players for Rugby for Heroes and the rugby league players for Hull for Heroes, and some of those guys who are ex-internationals are probably still feeling it at this very moment, and we're several days on into the week. But it's great that they're able to carry on playing and they give it their all, and it's great to see that there's still a market for the veteran style rugby.
One of the things that we'd love to see in the years to come is a vet set up for the women, because, you know, Inter-Services women's rugby has been going for 20 years now, and so there are plenty of previously retired players who wouldn't mind getting a pair of boots on again. So, you know, that's one of the things that we're aspiring to in the future.
And you heard it first here on Forces Network that that could be happening. We hope it happens sooner rather than later, because just to keep this game going at all levels is just so important.
We're starting our prescriptions for the Brufen now for when that team starts, so it might take us a while to get the stores ready for that game, but we hope it comes in the future.
The gauntlet has been laid down, shall we say. So let's now join, shall we, Chrissy Shizawa, who is with Julian Evans. She's the RAF victorious captain.
Well, welcome back touchline. We've got RAF skipper Chrissy Shizawa with us.
Hi.
Congratulations, 11 tries. Doesn't get much better than that when it's Inter-Services.
No, not at all. Great start. You know, for us, it's only game 1 of 2. Obviously, we look forward to take on the Army in a few weeks' time, but we did a lot of good things today that we can take away and work on at the next training camp.
Everything really sort of clicked for you this afternoon. You must be delighted, or a raised eyebrow there.
I think at times we were superb. We were ruthless. At times we switched off, and you know, as a captain with greater visions and sights,
we mentioned it during the game, but it's really great to see the crowd.
Yeah, really happy with the
for those on
you seem to have made your earlier career in the back line, at the centre, but like Beth Dainton with the Army, you've sort of edged yourself a little bit closer to where the action happens.
Someone told me that the forwards have more fun, and I never believed them until this season. But yeah, no, it's been a move that the coaches have asked me to do, and I'll gladly do it for the team.
I'm not sure how many different scorers there were in that 11-try demolition over the senior service today, but there seem to be quite a few, and it means that the players are playing for each other, not just going for glory themselves.
Absolutely, and the best thing is some of our newest caps that are earning their first cap today for the Air Force scored some tries, and what a better stadium to do it. You know, what a great platform for women's rugby.
Well, you know, you're only the job half done for you guys, because you know that the job that you want to do is close that gap between yourselves and the Army, and it's getting ever tighter. Yeah,
of course, we want to make Inter-Services a competitive event, and you know, we'll take on the Army in a few weeks' time at Kingsholm. But again, what a great venue to do it.
It means an awful lot, not just the men, of course, but the women as well, that you're playing at facilities like this, you know, renowned grounds up and down the country.
Yeah, not just that thousands of people want to come and see servicemen and women play rugby. You know, it's an absolute honour to play in stadiums like this, and yeah, we look forward to it a few weeks' time.
Of course, you've been running out for Saracens, and the Tyrrell's Premiership is getting to the business end of the season. I just wonder how many girls now are sort of split between what they have to do with their club and, of course, what they have to do with their service.
Well, we've got a few girls that play for Premiership sides. You know, Sian Williams playing for Gloucester, Kat, myself playing for Sarries, and obviously Amy plays for Wasps. So I think it's just a great demonstration of where RAF Rugby is now from the women's team, and I'm really proud of all the girls for what they do.
Look, it's great to watch. You've got a trophy to lift. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well done.
Chrissy Shizawa there talking to Julian Evans, victorious RAF women's captain after a terrific performance from them today. The scoreboard is still saying here that it was 67-3 to the RAF. We think it was 69. We think that last conversion from Sophie Gale definitely went over, but we will get that confirmed to you. As you're seeing the pictures now of the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force veterans team collecting their trophy, and very shortly we will have the presentations for the women as well, having to wait rather longer than maybe they would have liked, but it's presentation time is good, and ladies still here joining me up in the commentary box here. What will be your sort of final thoughts really on this afternoon's game?
Don't know. It's been a really good game, and it's as an Army player, it's been good to watch both teams take away any things that I've noticed, and give the good feedback to the girls. But I know there's a few Army girls here watching as well. So we're really looking forward to going into this fixture against the RAF, and we know it's going to be a strong performance from them. So we need to come out on the front foot straight away.
Let me say, you've got a big fixtures coming up tomorrow. Give it a bit of a plug if you like, and trying to get a few people down to Aldershot to watch your A team and also your full team as well out in action tomorrow.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We're playing at Aldershot Stadium tomorrow. Our women's A team are playing at 13:30 against the British Police, and then our senior team play at 1600 against Richmond Football Club. And we're really excited with both of those fixtures as our last game before the inter-services.
And there'll be important build-up games, obviously, before you enter the fray in the inter-services here today. And we're just still waiting for the presentation to clear itself, and hopefully we will have some sort of presentation for the women's teams after this. And you've probably seen as well, just behind both the senior sides are now, men's senior sides are out on the pitch getting themselves warmed up for their game. I'm just sort of checking the watch. We're only about 3/4 of an hour away from kickoff in this game between the men tonight, the Royal Navy and the RAF. What are your thoughts on that game? Because that could go either way, couldn't it? After last year and with the build up both sides have had.
Yeah, absolutely. So the men's competition, as most people are aware, is a lot closer than the women's competition at the moment. But stand fast, the RAF Army game, which in the women's game is very close now and will be interesting. However, for the men's game tonight, for the last couple of years, it's been points between all three teams. So I think it's going to be a close fought game. The RAF clearly coming into it as champions, I think, are probably and home advantage, albeit the Stoop. I think will probably fancy themselves tonight. Navy underdogs, they tend to perform well as that, and so it's a good game. And I would advise those watching online to stay online and watch it going forward.
Absolutely. Well, there's obviously no presentation going to be happening as far as the women are concerned. They're doing their presentations on the pitch to each other, awarding their caps. So we are going to say cheerio for now, but we will be back in about 3/4 of an hour's time, just before that, before the kickoff of the senior men's game this evening between the RAF and the Royal Navy. I'd just like to thank Jade, Jules and Charlie for joining me here for commentary this afternoon, and we will leave you with the fact that it was a convincing 11 tries victory for the Royal Air Force against the Royal Navy here. Do join us a bit later if you possibly can. I'm sure you won't regret seeing another terrific game of rugby union. But from all of us here for now, bye for now.
Thank you so much. Thanks, John. Thank you so much. Yeah.